the day after I had the surgery, and it's because both eyes need to now learn how to work together. But Dr. Horn, Vision for Life, and this is not a commercial right now, but the surgery went really, really well, and I can see, and it's just, it's great.
Is it itchy?
I'm so happy. Eyes are watering and gooey.
Yeah, because I remember when I had, like, my procedure was different, but I remember it being super itchy after I was done.
Yep, itchy and gooey, but you know what? Really, the discomfort is really the first couple of hours, and now I can see the TV, I can see everything.
Actually, the discomfort is listening to you describe it as gooey.
Oh, sorry.
That's the discomfort.
I remember you was texting us yesterday after your procedure. You went, I could see colors again. Joan went with the route of, are you on LSD, Dan?
Oh, no, I said it's like I'm on LSD.
Oh, right,
and then
right.
Joan said, how do you know what it's like to be on?
That's right.
Actually, you know what's so funny? I don't know. Actually, I don't know what it's like to be on LSD. Anyway, real quick. This question was posed to Caroline Levitt from, this is from NBC, and listen to the way this question is posed.
Has spent basically his entire public career criticizing foreign entanglements, nation building, sending American troops to fight abroad, particularly in the Middle East. This plan seems like it could ultimately involve all of those things. Can you explain this reversal and how building and owning Gaza squares with America First foreign policy?
I would reject the premise of your question.
Go get him.
I loved that. I would reject the premise of your question. A more complete answer to that question is coming up with our buddies from the Heritage Foundation, Stephen Bucci, right here on Super Talk 99.7 WTN.
Good morning. It's now 7:30. I'm Joan Jones with your top stories. We'll start off here with a tornado watch this morning in Kentucky, expanding now to 3 different areas: East Central Kentucky, South Central Kentucky, and Southeast Kentucky. That tornado watch this morning, not a warning, but a watch, extends through 10 o'clock Central Time. Well, welcome to Thursday. It is another day that we could experience severe weather around here, too. Channel 4's Stefano DiPietro, however, says the threat is once again on the low side.
I do think this afternoon and this evening we have a little bit more of a chance of some hailstones compared to what we had yesterday, but that's still overall a decently low-end threat, and the main focus will be on heavier rainfall and wind gusts around 50 miles per hour.
And the timeline looks to be between 2 this afternoon and 8 o'clock tonight. Well, there's more reaction to President Trump's idea to relocate Palestinians from Gaza, clear out the debris, and rebuild it into a coastal tourist resort.
President Trump proposed the United States take control of the Gaza Strip.
Level the site and get rid of the destroyed buildings.
Trump calling for the roughly 2 million people who live in Gaza to permanently relocate to Egypt and Jordan. A Palestinian resident saying she's anguished at the thought of being forced from her home.
To rebuild it in a way that we see is good for us, not for you.
Hamas responding to Trump's proposal, saying the U.S. will face the entire region if the president follows through.
That's Melissa Aden from ABC News. Walmart is getting into the renovation business. The big box retailer just bought a mall near Pittsburgh, and it plans to redevelop and repurpose it. They'll turn it into a mixed-use space that would include housing, restaurants, and retail. Walmart says there is a big opportunity because there are a lot of malls in the U.S. that are not going to operate as an enclosed mall anymore. That's the latest news. Traffic and weather are ahead. I'm Joan Jones, WTN News.
Thanks, Joan. 7:32, Nashville's Morning News. Dan Mandis here with a question for you. What if your roof was destroyed in a storm? How much of that replacement cost would your insurance company cover? We've got possibly some severe weather coming in tomorrow. You never know when that severe storm and that severe weather is going to hit and what it's going to do to your roof. Now, if you don't know if your current insurance company would cover the entire replacement cost, then you need to ask, because some insurance companies refuse to pay full replacement cost. They're going to deduct money for an older roof. Now, this means that the insurance company will depreciate how much they pay for your roof claim. If you've got an older roof, they're going to pay you less, and that could leave you on the hook for thousands of dollars. My friends at King & Associates Insurance, they will pay full replacement cost. So whether you have to replace a 10-year-old roof or a 2-year-old roof, They will pay for it to be replaced, period. It is that kind of focus on customer service that makes King & Associates Insurance one of the best insurance companies around. Call them, check them out, tell them Dan told you to reach out. 615-329-8121, 615-329-8121. Get your royal review, tkinginsurance.com.
It is on 65 northbound side this morning in Spring Hill, just past the Kedron Road overpass, an accident that blocks off the right lane. A crash involving some injuries, Gallatin Pike south at Emmett Avenue, and a crash as well involving injuries on Davidson Drive in Hillwood. This is right at Hapwood Drive. Traffic every 10 minutes every morning on Super Talk 99.7 WTN.
Thank you, Joan. 734 on Super Talk. You know, when I first started thinking about lens replacement surgery to treat my cataracts, I was nervous. I had all kinds of concerns running through my head. Was it painful? How long is the downtime? I heard a lot of myths like you'll still need glasses or the results are not permanent. But during my consultation with Dr. Horn at Vision for Life, he did take the time to answer all of my questions and addressed those common myths. And he did explain, and I can tell you I've had my left eye, I had that done last week. Yesterday was my right eye. And I can tell you that both procedures were very quick. It's a 5-minute procedure. Most patients, including yours truly, feel little to no discomfort. Recovery times are very fast, and many people permanently achieve near perfect vision without glasses. Day one in my left eye, 20/20 vision. Now, what stood out to me was the personalized care from Dr. Horn and all the pros at Vision for Life. Now, they tailored a plan specific to my needs and my goals, and he walked me through the lens options and how they could help me not just restore my vision, but also my quality of life. Now, if you've been putting off cataract surgery, don't. My one regret is that I didn't do this sooner. Call them 615-436-2020, 615-436-2024. Dr. Horn and my friends at Vision for Life. You can find them online at visionforlife.com. .736, Nashville's Morning News on Super Talk 99.7 WTN. Want to get right to the Newsmaker Hotline. Stephen Bucci from the Heritage Foundation joining us, military and foreign policy analyst. Stephen, always great to have you on the program. So President Trump decides that he wants to turn Gaza into some sort of a resort destination area. And a lot of reporters had a lot of questions, and this is what Caroline Levitt said about it yesterday.
I would reject the premise of your question that this forces the United States to be entangled in conflicts abroad. The president has not committed to putting boots on the ground in Gaza. He has also said that the United States is not going to pay for the rebuilding of Gaza. His administration is going to work with our partners in the region to reconstruct this region. And let me just take a step back here, because this is an out-of-the-box idea. That's who President Trump is. That's why the American people elected him. And his goal is lasting peace in the Middle East for all people in the region.
All right, so, Stephen, there's a lot of ways we can go about this discussion, but just give me your quick take on this.
I like her analysis. I agree with it. I know initially when President Trump, threw this out in the middle of the floor, in the middle of the press conference, it looked like even Netanyahu was a little surprised. But this is how he works. He is the disruptor in chief. He loves coming up with ideas that no one has considered before. And he thinks like a businessman. We need to all remember that all the time. He's not a career politician or a bureaucrat. So, everything else has failed, and he's trying to get people to help. They're being reluctant. You got the Egyptians and the Saudis, who are the leaders of the Sunni world. You got the Jordanians, whose king is a descendant of the Prophet Muhammad. But they're all going, Palestinians, no thanks. And I think this is a massive, diplomatic jujitsu move on his part to get these people to say, well, look, we don't want them really doing what Trump is suggesting. Let's go back and talk to them and get them to do something that we can play a part in. Because otherwise, these leaders in the region, feel like they're cut out. They look bad to their own people. They don't like that. So this could end up being a brilliant move if he can get these guys to pay for it, and they have the capability to do that. That's great. If he wants to get their people doing it, they got the people to do that. They could add that part of the labor force, and they're not going to have as big a target on their back as having either Israeli or American people there providing security. So I think the press secretary's analysis is spot on, and it doesn't sound to me like she just made that up on the fly. That sounds like after the press conference, somebody sat down with her and says, this is what we're really looking to do.
Yeah,
and she put it out there,
which she did. And there's a number of different, as I said, a couple of different angles. But one of them has to be okay. So she said, doing the same thing over and over again. So we rebuild Gaza. We, as in the world, rebuilds Gaza one way or another, and Hamas is still going to be there. There's still going to be wars between Hamas and Israel because Hamas simply cannot help themselves, and they're going to be attacking Israel. So it's almost like I agree with Caroline Levitt, which is, what's the point in rebuilding it again? Because it's just going to get destroyed again. So, and the other aspect of this is the Palestinians. Egypt doesn't want the Palestinians. Jordan doesn't want the Palestinians. Nobody wants the Palestinians. Can you talk a little bit about why they don't want the Palestinians?
Well, yeah, because the Palestinians are not good guests. There were a ton of Palestinians in Jordan back from earlier Arab-Israeli conflicts, and eventually they tried to kill the king, the present king's father.
Yep.
They rebelled and tried to take over the entire country of Jordan, where they were guests, and kill the king, who is a descendant of the prophet. That's really a bad thing to do in their world. And they found out that, King Hussein back then, who looked like a jolly fellow with a nice smile all the time, turned out to be a pretty tough dude. He rounded them up. He crushed the revolt. He killed a bunch of them, and the rest of them he kicked out of his country. Now, they still have a very large Palestinian population. They also have a lot of Syrians that are in their country in the northern part that are refugees. The Jordanians are sort of punching above their weight with taking care of their brethren, and they don't necessarily want more. The Egyptians don't want them because Egypt has been very comfortable with its positive relationship with the Israelis for a long time. You put a whole bunch of Palestinians back inside Egyptian territory, and that's going to be harder to maintain, and those people will then start attacking the Egyptians. Bottom line is the Palestinians are far more Hamas-type orientation than we give them. I won't call it credit, but that we attribute to them. The folks who say, well, look, the Palestinians in Gaza are really like prisoners. The Hamas are the problem. You can't keep attacking the civilians. There are not a heck of a lot of honest to goodness civilians in Gaza, to be honest with you. Maybe the women and children, okay, you got a point.
Yeah.
But all of the military age men, which in that part of the world is like 15 and up, they are all tied to Hamas in some way, shape, or form, ideologically or through action. Many of them have multiple jobs. They might be a hospital orderly during the day, and then at night they put on the headband, they grab a weapon, and they go off and start shooting rockets. So there is a really strong hostile thread within the Palestinians because, honest to goodness, the only thing they really want is to get every single Jewish person out of what is now Israel.
Right.
They don't care about getting humanitarian assistance. They don't care that their own wives and children are being hurt because they're hiding behind them. They just want to kill the Jews. And that's a tough negotiating position to work from.
How big of a, we give aid to Egypt, we give aid to Jordan. Saudi Arabia has come out and said that they're not a fan of this plan either by Donald Trump. But we all know that Trump says these grandiose things and then it settles into something else. But how big of a factor is it that we do give Jordan and Egypt aid? I think I saw it. You tell me if I'm correct here. I read about $1.5 billion each. Is that a big of a deal for them to say, okay, we'll come to the negotiating table and we'll accept a certain number of Palestinians if the Palestinians will even go?
Yeah, I can't put a percentage, but it's significant. If we play hardball with them as far as the aid, it will have an effect on their final decision. Whether they, throw open the gates and, let's send them all over here, that's a little tougher. Would they take some? I think we could probably, negotiate them into doing that based on the financial benefit that they accrue from working as allies with us, not treaty allies, but, friends. It would have an effect. But there's only so much they can do. Both those countries, remember, those are the only two Muslim countries in the Middle East seemingly that don't have oil. So they're not rich like the Saudis or the Gulf Arabs. Their financial stuff is a little more tied to us than anybody else there in the Muslim world. So that is a significant factor, but it's not necessarily going to push it 100% over. They're not our clients. They don't do everything we tell them to do. Let's put it that way.
Stephen Bucci is our guest, a military and foreign policy analyst with the Heritage Foundation. Got this headline from NBC News. I'm going to ask you about it after the traffic report. Israel orders military to prepare a plan for Palestinians to voluntarily leave Gaza. We'll talk about that straight ahead. It's about a 30-second report on Super Talk 99.7. Weather today, a high of 71. Thunderstorms expected later this afternoon. Right now, 68 degrees at Super Talk 99.7 WTN. So, Stephen Bucci, do you think that the Palestinians would voluntarily leave Gaza as Israel is ordering the military to prepare for this, evacuation, whatever you'd call it?
Some of them would, depending on where you wanted to send them and, what the deal was. Others would not. If you told them, okay, we're going to give you the country of Jordan, a lot of them wouldn't want to go. They are convinced that by staying in Gaza and fighting the Israelis from there, that is their call from God to do. So no, some of them are not going to accept any kind of deal, no matter how sweet it is. I think others would, and then you're going to have the problem. How do you keep the hardcore ones from beating up on the ones who are willing to go because they see that as weakening their position? So it's going to be a tough population control exercise if that starts to happen, whether it's in part or in whole. It's going to be very, very difficult. There are folks who are fanatic about their positions here, and it's something that's difficult for Americans to understand. We are not as tied to land as most other populations in the world. That's an artifact of us being such a new country, relative to others around the world. For us, if the government comes in and takes, the front half of your lawn because it needs to widen the road and gives you some mild compensation, you're ticked. You like your lawn the way it was, but you know what? You're probably going to deal with it and get over it. Or if you're really uh, bothered by it, okay, you move to the next town. That's not the way people in other parts of the world, certainly not in the Middle East, think. They are really, really tied to whatever land they're living on. And if they can tie it back a couple of generations, then it's just that much more so. To a degree that most Americans look at it and think that's, just doesn't make any sense at all. But to them, it makes it all the sense in the world. So there's going to be a lot of tough negotiations that go on, frankly, even within America. I mean, there's a lot of people that voted for President Trump who don't want us spending money in other countries, or definitely not sending people to other countries. Rand Paul he's not happy with this announcement.
No.
He thinks this is just, wild foreign entanglements and expenditures, and we got too many people here to take care of to do that sort of thing. Now, we're going to accrue a whole bunch of extra capital here once we close down USAID and all the nutty things they've been spending money on, but it's not going to touch the amount of money an operation like we're contemplating here would cost, even if we do it by helping other people to do the actual work. It's still going to cost us a bunch of money.
Well, Stephen, let me ask you real quick. I've only got 30 seconds, but let's just say that this actually happened and they were able to somehow develop the Gaza Strip, and you've got hotels and casinos. But if Hamas is still, or radical Islamic terrorism is still in the region, then those hotels and the people that visit them are not going to be safe.
No, they're going to be targets. You're absolutely right. It's what President Trump outlined in his initial thing is a really, really difficult thing to achieve and just as difficult to maintain. So I'm with the press secretary. I think we're going to see something short of that, hopefully with lots more people than America involved in it.
All right. Always great analysis and perspective. Stephen Bucci from the Heritage Foundation. Thank you very much. And we'll talk again soon. 7:51 on Super Talk 99.7 WTN. Dan Mandis here. And every night at homework time, I thank the Lord for Xfinity Internet. Now, in my house, we stay connected with Wi-Fi coverage that delivers the speed that we need, and you can too. Over the holidays, I did a ton of fill-in nationally and across the country, and I can rely on Xfinity for my rock-solid internet that I use to do all of those shows. Now, listen, homework and our jobs don't wait for the internet to work. We need a reliable connection even when everyone is online and working. Now, I do rely on Xfinity. I've been a customer for years. And by the way, if there are issues, Xfinity has 24/7 customer service here for you whenever you need it, with in-home Wi-Fi support. And if you're on the go, you can stay connected with over 20 million secure Xfinity Wi-Fi hotspots nationwide. So get the best Wi-Fi for your life, whether it's doing homework with the kids or work for the paycheck. Rock-solid internet is only a phone call away with Xfinity. To get started, tell them Dan told you to reach out. 1-800-XFINITY is the phone number. 1-800-XFINITY, online, xfinity.com, or drop into an Xfinity store today for more details. 7:56, Nashville's Morning News on Super Talk 99.7 WTN. I am being disparaged on the Super Text line.
How dare they? For what?
Somebody's calling me a closeted liberal.
Oh, well, is it true?
No. Yeah. How would you even have to ask that question?
The scandal of a lifetime. No, that's ridiculous.
So why don't you tell me what it is that they're saying?
0480
Yeah.
says, blah, blah, blah. I'm sending this text, your guy you have in the morning, the way that he words his sentences, and not just sometimes, but a lot of the time, it sounds like he's a closeted liberal who is just pretending to be conservative because he needed the job at the radio station. Some of the stuff he says really doesn't sound like he's on board. He says, it's just a word here and a word there, but it's enough that it catches my attention, and it's enough that I know for a fact a real conservative, I love that phrase, a real conservative
Wow.
would not think to say it that way. So I hit him back.
Yeah.
And I said, "Oh, please give me some examples. What words do I use that give away?" He says that I'm a closeted liberal. Because in my opinion, I'm as conservative as they come, but I don't agree with Trump on like everything. There's some things that Trump does where I facepalm, but for the most part, I am, my opinion, conservative as they come. And after 11 years here, I don't think anybody can question my conservative bona fides. So I don't know. I am curious as to what. Well, here's the deal. Can I just say this, Joan?
Well, I think you should ask super texters to tell you what it is that might make somebody say that. Go ahead.
Well, Chris says you are a conservative, Dan. Thank you. That JA is trolling you, says another. 5354. Here's the deal. The guy actually, 0480, he just started texting today.
Yeah.
And he doesn't even know my name.
Yeah, he calls you the guy.
The guy in the morning. So
Yeah.
I'm not going to put much credence into what this guy says because he doesn't even know my name. But whatever. It's all fine and well and good. I've had people say that before, though. And I think part of it is because I don't take myself seriously.
Oh,
like there's a
maybe.
lot of self-deprecation going on. There's a lot of joking at my expense. And I think that some people see that as a sign that I'm some sort of a mamby-pamby, liberal or progressive.
You also have to realize his texts are essays.
They're really long.
They are crazy long. So
Dude,
I don't know,
yeah.
I wouldn't take this guy seriously because if he's sending you these, what it could be in a book of how much he's written here.
Yeah.
This guy's clearly, what's the right word? Unhinged?
I don't know if I'd call him unhinged. He certainly likes to, thumb out text messages. And by the way, that's fine. I have no problem. Number one, I don't mind people having negative opinions about me. That's all fine, well, and good. If I met him, I'd probably have a negative opinion on him. But I welcome any and all feedback. And that's why when somebody sends me something that is negative, I like to point it out just because, I get a lot of glowing. I don't necessarily like to read that all the time because it makes me sound like I'm bragging. But if somebody has something like that to say, I do find it interesting. Please tell me, do say, kind sir, what is it that gives me away as a closet progressive?
1303 says he's paid by USAID.
Well done, 1303.
Yes.
All right, we'll return next on WTN.
Good morning, 8 o'clock now. I'm Joan Jones with your top stories. We are expecting some stormy weather later on today. We'll get you updated on all of that, along with traffic coming up right after the news. The NCAA is getting in line now with President Trump's executive order signed yesterday that bans biological males from female sports.
The head of the NCAA says of the approximately 510,000 college athletes in this country, fewer than 10 are known to be transgender. The White House demanding organizations like the NCAA to change their rules. If universities don't comply, the White House warning they could lose federal funding, but also face legal action. The NCAA adds it will align its policies with Trump's executive order. Melissa Adon, ABC News, Los Angeles.
A former Smyrna police officer is facing charges of forgery and identity theft. WSMV4's Tracy Cornett says that officer was helping kids to skip school.
Tennessee Bureau of Investigation says the forged documents were given to the Rutherford County school system. They began investigating in December. They say several doctors' notes for excused school absences were submitted by 37-year-old Lindsay Clemens. She was a Smyrna patrol officer at the time.
Lindsay Clemens was indicted by a grand jury on 19 counts. If you needed a blood transfusion, would you care if the donor had had a COVID vaccine or not? One Tennessee lawmaker wants to give people that choice.
I certainly understand people that are concerned. There were people that received blood in the past that contracted HIV, and I'm certainly not even comparing this to the HIV, but issues that we don't know about.
Republican Senator Joey Hensley there filed a bill that requires blood donors to disclose whether they had received the COVID shot. But legislating this could have negative results, according to Dr. Jennifer Andrews. She's a professor at Vanderbilt.
I'm actually very worried if this decreases sort of society's trust in our blood supply. It might be reflected by people not trusting the blood donor collection process and not donating blood. And that could have direct effects on our patients here at Vanderbilt.
Similar bills have failed in states like Wyoming, Montana, Connecticut, and South Dakota. The search for a dangerous murder suspect in Robertson County ended in a cave yesterday. Deputies found 39-year-old Jimmy Cox hiding out in a cave near Smiley Hollow Road after a nearby resident told police that she saw smoke coming out of that cave. Cox had been wanted for the stabbing death of his stepfather at his home on Tuesday. Market numbers brought to you by Beacon Capital Management, online at beaconcm.com. Half hour before the opening bell, and the Dow futures are up 40, NASDAQ futures down 6, and the S&P futures up just 11. That's the latest news. Traffic and weather next. I'm Joan Jones, WTN News. Spring Hill on 65, the northbound lanes just past the Kedron Road overpass. It is an accident this morning blocking off the right lane. Davidson Drive in Hillwood, right at Hepwood Drive. There's an accident. And also an accident in Edge Hill. This one is on Wedgwood Avenue at Beach Avenue. Traffic every 10 minutes every morning on Super Talk 99.7 WTN.
8:06, Nashville's Morning News on Super Talk 99.7 WTN. Welcome on in to Friday Eve here on Super Talk 99.7 WTN. It is Thursday, February 6th of 2025, and there's a lot going on. I was listening to some audio. President Trump, this is really touching, and I'm going to play it. It's a minute 23, and so if the bosses are listening, I'm sorry, but it's a long cut. But you know what? It is really good. It is President Trump, and he is speaking at the National Prayer Breakfast, and this was about a half hour ago. And this is part of what he said. It was a really long and touching speech, but this is what he said.
Thomas Jefferson himself once attended Sunday services held in the old House chamber on the very ground where I stand today. So there could be nothing more beautiful than for us to gather in this majestic place. It is majestic, and reaffirm that America is and will always be one nation under God. At every stage of the American story, our country has drawn hope and courage and inspiration from our trust in the Almighty. Deep in the soul of every patriot is the knowledge that God has a special plan and a glorious mission for America. And that plan is going to happen. It's going to happen. I hope it happens sooner rather than later. It's going to happen. And it's His hand that guides us every single step of the way. And all of you and the things we have to do is to see the defining role that faith and prayer have played in the life of our nation. And you just have to look at this building, and you can look at each other. You can really look at each other. It's defined almost everyone in this room. I think faith has been very strong with the people in this room.
I love it. Donald Trump, what a great, and I'm going to go home today. I'm going to listen to the entire speech. Donald Trump at the National Prayer Breakfast. And, you know, it's funny, you listen to that, and then you realize that the left calls this guy literally Hitler. And clearly that does not sound like, air quote, literally Hitler. Now, there's a lot going on, but I want to revisit something that we were talking about earlier, and that is the violent rhetoric that is going on in Washington, D.C. because of Elon Musk and Doge.
Are any officials here preparing to fight Democratic lawmakers in the streets?
So, you know, that is Peter Doocy, and he was talking to Caroline Leavitt, and they were talking about all of this nasty rhetoric with people on the left and how they're screaming about Republicans. They're screaming about Elon Musk, and they simply won't stop. And they're talking about, of course, Elon Musk and Doge and USAID.
Some elected Democrats are so steamed about Doge. Congresswoman LaMonica McIver says we are at war. Ilhan Omar says we might actually see somebody get killed. And Chris Van Hollen says we have to fight this in the Congress. We have to fight this in the streets. So what now?
Yeah, I mean, it's a valid question. And it does seem crazy to the extent that these crazy Democrats are going to look at as they battle Donald Trump. This is the hill that they want to die on. This with USAID, even though we all know, I mean, they've been exposed. And apparently the funding for USAID, the, what is it, $50 billion, is that what it was? The $50 billion for USAID to go to things that are really silly, like $70,000 spent on a DEI musical in Ireland. This is the hill that the Democrats decide that they want to die on. It is crazy. And every day we find out another silly thing that the Democrats want to spend our taxpayer dollars on. And so instead of defending this spending, like the 70 grand spent on a DEI musical in Ireland, instead of defending that kind of moronic spending, the Democrats are just threatening Republicans and really, if I'm going to be honest, they're insulting America.
We are going to fight it legislatively. We are going to fight it in the courts. And we're going to fight it in the streets.
So, I mean, listen to how really hard they're going to fight to pay for all this insane DEI spending across the world. We've been having some fun with this audio. You've got the ever so charming Jasmine Crockett. And I've been asking the question, of all of these people, can you defend $2 million for transgender comic books in Peru?
We are going to be in your face. We are going to be on your asses. And we are going to make sure.
Okay.
We're going to make sure you understand what democracy looks like.
You know, it's funny because you listen to this audio, and I know that there's probably kids in the car listening on the way to school or whatever. Kids, be more like Donald Trump and be nothing like Jasmine Crockett. I mean, let's be honest, because that woman has absolutely no class. And we've talked about her ad nauseum. Speaking of no class, also there's Elizabeth Warren. And I would ask Elizabeth Warren, okay, Elizabeth, I asked you in the 5 o'clock hour. Can you defend that $20 million of taxpayer dollars that was spent for Sesame Street in Iraq?
No one elected Elon Musk to nothing.
That's right.
Not one Democrat in America voted for Elon Musk.
Not one.
Not one. But you know who people did vote for is Donald Trump. And Donald Trump, out on the campaign trail ad nauseum, brought Elon Musk out on the stage and said that we are going to come up with this department, this agency, this organization, and it's going to be called Doge, the Department of Government Efficiency. And Trump said he was going to do that, and the American people voted for it. So you can shriek all you want, Pocahontas. You can shriek all you want, but the reality is that you're yelling, and you're yelling really loudly, but you're not defending the actual spending because you can't. Just because you scream loudly doesn't mean that you're explaining this crazy spending, and you're not giving us the reasons why you thought it would be a good idea to spend $47,000 on a transgender opera in Colombia. Next up, Maxine Waters.
This is not Elon Musk's country. This is not Trump's country. This is our country. He is a low-down, dirty, no good person along with Trump that cannot be trusted.
What a bunch of cartoon characters. I mean, honest to goodness, what a bunch of cartoon characters. Now, the question is, all right, so I love how she's talking about how you wait. Elon Musk can't be trusted. Donald Trump can't be trusted. Well, it looks to me like the ones that are spending all of this money on stuff the American people would never, ever approve of is you, Maxine Waters, or Elizabeth Warren, or Jasmine Crockett, or Hakeem Jeffries. You're the ones that Americans simply cannot trust. And so now we hear that the Democrats in the House Oversight Committee, apparently they're trying to subpoena Elon Musk. And I know exactly what they're doing. What they're trying to do is they're trying to target him for some sort of a lawfare scam. I guarantee you that's what they're trying to do. Trying to haul him in. He's gonna have some sort of question and answer, some sort of testimony. They'll try to get him under oath or whatever, and they're going to go after him. So clearly what they're trying to do is they're trying to shoot the messenger, which is Elon Musk, and hide his message. And the message is their crazed spending. But the message is really important. And y'all know that the message is really important because the American people do need transparency. The American people do need to know where all of our taxpayer dollars are going. And the reason why it's so important to give all of this as much oxygen as possible, even though I know that nobody likes hearing the voice of Jasmine Crockett or Elizabeth Warren first thing in the morning, or Maxine Waters first thing in the morning, we do have to give this oxygen. And the reason why we have to give this oxygen is because in a couple of years, we're going to have the midterms. And in the midterms, people need to know what's going on. Because all these people are going to be up for re-election. If you're in the House of Representatives, that doesn't count for Elizabeth Warren. I'm not sure when she's up for re-election. But all these folks in the House of Representatives, Hakeem Jeffries and Jasmine Crockett and Maxine Waters, they're going to be up for re-election. And all the other Democrats are. So let them. defend the $20 million for Sesame Street in Iraq. Let them defend all of these things at their own peril. Got a lot more straight ahead. 8:16, time to check the roads on WTN. Weather today, a high of 71. Thunderstorms expected late this afternoon. Right now, 68 degrees. It's Super Talk 99.7 WTN. So we're telling you earlier about this House Oversight Committee meeting yesterday. And the Democrats, as I said, they're trying to subpoena Elon Musk. They're trying to get Elon Musk in there. And I think that they're up to hijinks and shenanigans. And so does Tim Burchett.
And dadgum, if I can go to Columbia and see a taxpayer-funded transgender opera, what the heck is this world coming to? Look, you're seeing all the fits being thrown on this stuff, and you should follow the dadgum money, because always they have a family member or a friend, or I'd like to say a wife and or girlfriend that's drawing a check from one of these bogus organizations. You don't spend $60 million eradicating rats. It goes somewhere in somebody's pocket. We just got to start paying better attention.
I mean, he is absolutely right. Senator Joni Ernst, by the way, is someone who has been paying attention. She was on Fox News, and she's been on this for a long time. What have we all been saying as conservatives and talk show hosts? Where's all this money going with Ukraine? Joe Biden has sent billions and billions and billions of dollars to Ukraine, and it's unaccountable. And Joni Ernst, she's been trying to find out from the Democrats, okay, so USAID, I want to know, where is this money going? And we need to be transparent to the American people. Can we do that, please?
For years now, going back several years, where I was trying to investigate the expenditures for humanitarian aid, primarily when it came to the war in Ukraine. And what my team and I encountered was absolute obstruction and lies coming out of USAID. They did everything possible to stop me from accessing their records to understand where our taxpayer money was going.
Yeah, and how many of us spoke about, we were called, of course, conspiracy theorists, but how many of us said, all right, so all this money going to Ukraine, is it going right back into the accounts of Democrats through organizations like Act Blue? And we were mocked, ridiculed, and there's no evidence of that. Well, you know what? Then present us the information and we can come to that decision ourselves after we do the proper investigation, because we don't trust you. We don't trust Maxine Waters. We don't trust Elizabeth Warren. We don't trust Jasmine Crockett, and we sure as heck don't trust Hakeem Jeffries. Clearly not. Donald Trump is all over this, as he should be.
Look at all the fraud that he's found in this USAID. It's a disaster what the people, radical left lunatics, they have things that nobody would have even believed. The whole thing with $100 million spent on you know what, with money going to all sorts of groups that shouldn't deserve to get any money. With the money, I'd like to see what the kickbacks are. How much money has been kicked back? Who would spend that kind of money to some of the things that you read about and I read about and I see every night on the news and every morning when I read the papers? Who would spend money for that? I would say this. The people that got all that money, are they kicking it back to the people that gave it from government?
Well, you know what? That's what Joni Ernst wants to know. But remember where all this started. Back to the original question.
Are any officials here preparing to fight Democratic lawmakers in the streets?
Well, Caroline Levitt had a great answer to that. That is coming up right before Joan Jones' newscast, coming up at 8:30 right here on Super Talk 99.7 WTN. Dan Mandis here. Sell your home with a guaranteed offer from Mark Spain Real Estate. You can receive the strongest cash offer in the industry. You're going to save time and make the most money. Now, with that guaranteed offer from Mark Spain, you can skip the hassle of getting your home ready to sell, receive an all-cash offer, and close in as little as 21 days. Now, there's no showings, no open houses, and no stress. Now, one of their clients, Jerry, he said we needed to move quickly, and we were worried the process would be lengthy, and we would spend a lot of money on repairs. Now, Mark Spain Real Estate got us an offer, he says, in just 3 days. And it was over the asking price. It was amazing. Jerry says selling your home is a big decision, and who you work with matters. Work with my friends Mark Spain and Mark Spain Real Estate. As the most experienced real estate team in the industry, you can trust my friends at Mark Spain to sell your home fast and for maximum profit. Find out what your guaranteed offer would be. There's no obligation. 855-299-SOLD is a phone number. 855-299-SOLD. You can always find them online. MarkSpain.com. Tell them Dan Mandis told you to reach out and start packing. 821 on Nashville's Morning News. Joan Jones has the news at 8:30. Joan, what's up?
Federal workers have until the close of business today to accept a buyout offer. We've got an update on that. Also, the washed out portions of I-40, they're about to reopen, but there's information you need to know about it before you go. That's coming up at 8:30 on Super Talk 99.7 WTN.
Eight 825, Nashville's Morning News on WTN. Dan Mandis here. Listen, you need to make 2025 the year that you get active again. Now, if you've been sidelined, with chronic back, neck, and knee pain, check out my friends at the Wellness Institute of Nashville and Dr. Kevin Mitchell. Now, I've been a client for over 10 years, and I've never felt better. I arrived in Tennessee over a decade ago, and I went through spinal decompression therapy for my chronic back, neck, and knee pain, and it really helped a lot. Every once in a while, I need an adjustment. Dr. Mitch, he does fix me right up. Now, he's got a great deal right now for you. The Wellness Institute of Nashville is offering the Big 47 offer in honor of our 47th president, Donald Trump. It's 47% off spinal decompression therapy. They utilize the latest high-tech equipment in their state-of-the-art facility to provide effective, non-surgical solutions. Dr. Mitchell and Dr. Ashley, they're committed to helping you overcome back and knee pain. So call today. Tell them I told you to reach out. 615-246-5009. 615-246-5009. Painisbad.com to take advantage of the Big 47 offer. 47% off non-surgical spinal decompression. I put my seal of approval on that deal. (827) Nashville's Morning News on Super Talk 99.7 WTN. Peter Ducey asking a very pertinent question to Caroline Levitt.
Are any officials here preparing to fight Democratic lawmakers in the streets?
So, of course, she spoke about this incredibly eloquently, and she did have a great response.
May I just point out, if you heard that type of violent, enticing rhetoric from our side of the aisle, from Republican leaders on Capitol Hill, I think there would be a lot more outrage in this room today. It's unacceptable, the comments that have been made by these Democrat leaders, and frankly, they don't even know what they're talking about. Because President Trump was elected with a mandate from the American people to make this government more efficient. He campaigned across this country with Elon Musk, vowing that Elon was going to head up the Department of Government Efficiency, and the two of them, with a great team around them, were going to look at the receipts of this federal government and ensure it's accountable to American taxpayers. That's all that is happening here, and for Democrat officials to incite violence and encourage Americans to take to the streets is incredibly alarming, and they should be held accountable for that rhetoric.
You know, it is interesting, too. She's talking about the rhetoric, and I don't want to keep playing you Elizabeth Warren and Maxine Waters and Jasmine Crockett and Hakeem Jeffries and the rest of these knuckleheads. But let's just be honest. There's that saying, they're protesting too much, whatever it is. They're protesting really loudly and really fanatically and really crazily. And so it makes me assume that they've got some stuff to hide. Clearly they do. Clearly they're afraid of something. And J.D. Vance knows that, and so do you.
And we're going to fight it in the streets.
For Hakeem Jeffries to go out and say that you need to fight in the streets, it's dangerous, it's disgraceful rhetoric, and it's not at all what the American people ask. I think if you went to Hakeem Jeffries' district and took the people that voted against President Trump, not even the people who voted for him, the people who voted against President Trump, do you want a congressional Democratic leadership that fights in the streets or that makes your life better? Most people think the government exists to make their life better, not show up on TV, criticize the president, and not actually get anything done.
So the question is, how much will we learn once Elon Musk really gets in there and starts digging around USAID? We'll keep you covered right here on Nashville's Morning News on Super Talk 99.7 WTN.
Good morning. It's 8:30 now. I'm Joan Jones with your top stories. We've got new numbers on those buyout offers for federal workers. Learning now that 40,000 federal civilian employees have agreed to leave, and that's about 2% of the workforce. Today is the deadline, by the way, to take that buyout or risk being fired.
Federal employees received those buyout offers with an email titled "A Fork in the Road," the same subject line billionaire Elon Musk sent to Twitter employees when he took over the company in 2022. Democrats warning employees should proceed with caution, on Capitol Hill sounding the alarm about Musk and his massive reach into the federal government.
I move that the committee subpoena Elon Musk to come before it
as a witness at the earliest possible moment.
The hearing quickly turning into a shouting match.
ABC's Rachel Scott reporting there. By the way, the move to subpoena Musk failed. Metro Nashville Police Chief John Drake wants state lawmakers or even Congress to make changes to school safety laws. In particular, he's concerned about the role of social media in school shooting incidents like what happened last month at Antioch High.
About 8 a.m. The morning of the incident, he posted on social media that it was all going to go down at 11 a.m. And 32 people liked it, but no one called. No one said, hey, this may happen, and it happened.
His comments at the Interdenominational Ministers Fellowship recently, Drake believes an algorithm could pick up those threats and alert law enforcement. Drake says he's met with some movers and shakers recently, and he hopes to get action on it soon. It's been over 4 months since Hurricane Helene washed away parts of Interstate 40 at the North Carolina-Tennessee state line. Well, now that section that runs through the Pigeon River Gorge is set to open this spring. Now, crews will still be working there, so traffic will be reduced to just 2 narrow lanes, one for each direction, but that'll give crews just enough room to keep on working. And watch your speed, too. It'll be just over 40 miles an hour through that stretch. Checking on stocks in the early going here, the Dow Jones Industrial's up 57, NASDAQ gaining 12, and the S&P is up 12 points, too. That's the latest news. Traffic and weather are next. I'm Joan Jones, WTN News.
8:32. Thank you, Joan. Dan Mandis here. What could you do with an extra $75,000 right now, or even a couple $100,000? Now, if you own a home, you can get that money in less than a week with Loan Pronto. Now, Loan Pronto, they are the leader in quickly converting your home's equity into cold, hard cash, so you can actually pay off all of those credit cards or start that home remodel. Now, Loan Pronto has several easy options to let you access the cash from your home. There's virtually no paperwork, no cumbersome process, no junk fees, and often no appraisal. Now, the average homeowner right now has over $300,000 in equity, and that is your money, and you should use it. Now, one client got $150,000 out and paid off all of his credit cards, a couple of car loans, and a personal loan, too. They cut their monthly expenses by $1,500. Now, you can get approved in as little as 1 day, so act right now with no hard credit pull up front. LoanPronto.com, the phone number, tell him Dan told you to reach out at 615-499-5780, 615-499-5780, and get the money you need for anything. Find them online at loanpronto.com. Equal housing lender, NMLS 166-1781, subject to lender approval, NMLSconsumeraccess.org.
Trouble this morning in Spring Hill. It's on 65, the northbound lanes past the Kedron Road overpass. An accident that blocks off the right lane there. Also crash in Edge Hill on Wedgwood Avenue at Beach Avenue. And in East Nashville, Dickerson Pike at Hancock Street. That's another crash scene. Traffic every 10 minutes every morning on Super Talk 99.7 WTN.
8:36, Nashville's Morning News on Super Talk 99.7 WTN. Welcome on in to The Cross with Chris Handis here. Hello, Chris.
Hello. How are you?
2 thumbs up.
Yeah.
And 2 thumbs up, 2 eyes open. We've got KGB, Jeff Malinoff here. Joan Jones is here as well. Now, yesterday I called into the Murphy Show.
Okay.
And they were imploring me that the masses wanted to see one more vision of Deadeye Dan before I permanently retired my eye patch.
So you're gonna put it on?
I'm gonna go ahead. I'm gonna put on just one last time over my right eye.
We should hang it in the rafters after we're done.
And there you go. Yeah, there you go. So it's over my right eye.
So you're telling me I asked you 100 times to wear the eye patch, but it took one appearance on Murphy's show, and now you're fine with putting on the eye patch?
Yeah, actually. Yeah.
All right.
Take offense. Really, you should.
I'm keeping score.
Should we keep it like on the ceiling of the studio, like it's a retired number in a basketball league?
Absolutely. They said people wanted to see me with the eye patch over my right eye.
I said the exact same thing.
I don't remember that, Chris, actually.
Interesting.
So anyway, so this is, and here's what they said. They said, because people are asking me if you wore the eye patch over your left eye the day after your surgery, why not the right eye? Because now that the right eye has had the procedure, now the 2 eyes have to work together.
The eye patch is a good look, though.
It's totally not because we made fun of you for it.
Totally not.
Absolutely not.
You have like a white Nick Fury thing going on.
Oh my God.
A white Nick Fury. I actually know what that. I appreciate that.
You're welcome.
I'm here to tell you though, Nick Fury is no Dan Mandis. All right, moving right along. Anyway, so there it is. There's your last vision of me in an eye patch. I want to get your take on something.
Okay.
I apologize in advance, but we're going to have a really big. We're going to have a really big Daily Dan poll tomorrow.
A huge poll.
It's going to be a huge poll. And
massive.
It's going to be massive. You know, I have like dozens of people taking this poll, just so you know.
Yesterday, KGB said to me, he said, would you like to get up Dan's poll? And I said, no, probably not.
Anyway, so
moving on.
Terrible.
What?
Just terrible.
Good.
Get your minds
now you know
out
what
of the
it's
gutter.
like to be me when nobody laughs at my jokes. Don't make me put the eye patch on again. I'll go Nick Fury all over your anyway.
And now it's ruined.
So I want to know who's got the worst voice.
We are going to be in your face. We are going to be on your asses.
That is Jasmine Crockett.
That one.
Or I don't
Me
know.
too.
I don't know.
This is not Elon Musk's country. This is not Trump's country.
That one.
This is our country.
That's Maxine Waters.
Yeah, that one.
Well, are you sure? Because
No one elected Elon Musk to nothing.
so
that one. I feel like it's a recency bias thing with these three.
You know, that's a great point. Maybe it's a recency bias because I played that audio as part of a larger segment in the 5 o'clock hour, littler segment here just a few minutes ago. But people started complaining because it was way too early in the morning to hear, car alarm at 2 o'clock in the morning, Elizabeth Warren.
Screeching.
I mean, I
how
don't know.
dare you expose the DEI musical in Ireland?
You know what the thing is? And then I got something else that we want to play. But you know what the thing is that I don't understand is they are screeching so loud, but they're not explaining or defending the spending. All they're doing is trying to shoot the messenger, which is Elon Musk and Donald Trump. And so just because they're screaming doesn't mean that they're right. It just means that they look really wrong and guilty.
Do you know there's a 3-minute supercut from that Treasury rally or protest of just people saying Elon Musk?
Is it really?
It's
Did you play it?
No, I don't. I'm not going to do it to people.
Didn't we come up with a drinking game for that?
Yeah, I think one listener suggested you drink a bottle of rubbing alcohol before they start speaking.
Oh, my gosh. That's so funny.
That's the game.
Now, you have this audio of Jasmine Crockett.
Yes, I asked if you had heard it, and he hadn't heard it.
I have not heard it. Apparently, Chris played it yesterday.
Yes, and I said Dan has to hear it.
All right, so I'm going to play this. This is a minute 40. You're going to play the entire minute 40?
I don't think you're making it through. I think you're getting to about 35 seconds before you're going to have to pause and add some opinion.
Okay.
I'm tired of the white tears. Listen, if you are competent, you are not concerned. When I walk into Congress every single day, you know why I don't feel a way and why you can't make me doubt who I am? Is because I know that I had to work 10 times as hard as they did just to get into the seat. When you look and you compare me to Marjorie Taylor Greene or me to Lauren Boebert, there is no comparison. And that is the life that we have always lived. So the only people...
You know, she's actually right.
What's the timestamp?
That is 26 seconds.
I knew it. I knew it.
That's impressive.
She said there is no comparison between her and Marjorie Taylor Greene or Lauren Boebert. She's right.
Fact check true.
Fact check true.
People that are crying are the mediocre white boys that have been beaten out.
What's the timestamp?
30 seconds. Did she say mediocre white boys?
Oh, yeah. That's the people that are crying are the mediocre white boys. So just for the record, let the record show Dan has now stopped it twice before we hit 35.
So, and you know, here's the crazy thing. I don't know when this was. I am all over the internet, as you know. Why hasn't this gone viral? Why isn't anyone calling her the absolute racist that she is?
Because it's brave and beautiful.
It is. It's stunning.
Brave and beautiful and stunning?
It is.
When you go after...
people.
Go ahead.
Sorry, it's just when you go after white people, it's not racist. It's fighting the system.
It's fighting the power?
Yeah.
Imagine Scott Jennings making it through a broadcast saying this in reverse.
Oh, he never could.
That historically have had to work so much harder. This is why they don't want us to have education. This is why they are trying to literally...
Wait, Republicans don't want black folks to have education?
Just wait. She hasn't even gotten into HBCUs yet.
Which is kind of strange.
You are going to lose your cool.
Which is kind of strange because it's conservatives and Republicans that want school choice for people that are stuck in some of these schools.
Say we won't fund the HBCUs because they know that if they've already gone after affirmative action and they're saying, you know what, don't allow them to come into, say, these PWIs, as we call them, don't allow them to come into these institutions. We know why they created the HBCUs in the first place. It was because they wouldn't allow us into the white institutions. And so now they're not allowing us in. And now they're saying, you know what, we're also...
Well, I don't even know what she's talking about.
PWIs are premier white institutions.
Is that what a PWI is?
Yep.
A premier white institution.
And by the way,
Trump funds the HBCUs.
December 19th, 2019, he signed a bipartisan bill permanently providing more than $250 million a year to the nation's historically black colleges.
Thank you, Joan.
Yeah.
You can make the argument that if they can't stand up on their own, that we shouldn't be funding them. But she's making the argument that we're trying to defund them and Orange Man bad.
She's making it seem like we don't want the HBCUs to exist so that they don't get an education.
Yep.
Which is further from the truth. Yet I'm sure I don't know who she's speaking to at CNN, but clearly nobody has nobody's fact checking her on any of this stuff.
No, it wasn't on the prompter, so they didn't know.
Unbelievable. All right. Very good.
What was the timestamp? How far did you make it?
You know what? 1:08, and I'm getting ready to go have breakfast. I can't listen. I can't hear anymore, and I know that everybody else has heard it. That's awful, though.
She's terrible.
Hey, speaking of awful.
Yes.
Did you hear what happened day before yesterday on this show? Joan, did you hear what happened day before yesterday on this show?
I love the slow turn Chris did to me.
Here on this show, and I'm not sure I remember what you're talking about.
Jeff, I noticed about, I don't know, maybe a quarter of the way through the show, at some point in the 6 o'clock hour, suddenly there was a darkness that emerged from that side of the studio.
Imprisoning me.
All
that I see.
It went full of dark Malinoff?
Yes, it was dark Malinoff. This poor guy got broken up with via text in the middle of the show on Tuesday.
That's awful.
And you know what?
Is this the one that you made the fish sticks for and the tater tots?
Fish sticks.
Wait, what are you talking about?
You said the one that you cooked dinner for.
Oh, that was no, that's someone different. That was months ago.
She'll be breaking up with you probably today.
Nod, wink,
no,
wink.
that ended a while ago. But no, this one was we went on a couple of dates. It was for about a week or two. More than that, about a minute. It was a minute, and then I set up a date for the next Saturday on Sunday, and then next thing I know, I get a text. It was on Tuesday. Just not just basically saying, no, I don't want to see you anymore.
During the show.
Yes.
Does she know you work during these hours? Okay. So, wow.
Did she listen to the show for the first time that day?
No, I don't think she listens. I don't think I don't think she even knows what channel it's on. So I just told her it's news radio. I always have to, for the record, when I first start dating someone, I have to let them ease into this show.
Number one, it's talk radio. Number two, it's called a frequency, not a channel. And number three, you dodged a bullet, my friend. You dodged a bullet.
Oh, well, that's probably true.
He did. He dodged a bullet. Anybody who's going to break up with you, number one, via text, and number two, knowing you're working, I think that you just dodged a bullet.
Yeah, and maybe she forgot. I'm trying to give her the benefit of the doubt here. It was like 7:30 in the morning.
Isn't that new school? I feel like there's a lot of breakups via text nowadays.
Yeah.
Is it?
Yeah. Yeah, but it was in its infancy. It wasn't like a long-term thing. If it was long-term and then she did that, that's a whole different story.
Right.
But I thought we were clicking. I thought it was going great. And then all of a sudden, the text started with, I was talking to my best friend all last night about this. So I'm like, oh, I know where this is going.
You should have messed with her a little bit. You should have responded and been like, I thought you had a problem with me being Jewish.
It's funny. It was funny because I was telling her, like, I was trying to, develop, I was trying to get into Christianity a little bit and start seeing my relationship with Jesus. And apparently that wasn't enough. She was like, you're not far enough in your religion for me.
Oh, man.
And she was not willing to help you along?
Yeah, I guess not.
Wow.
Yeah.
I told you. You know what we need to do?
What do we got to do?
Uh-oh. I smell this coming.
I don't know if I need to clear this, but how fun would it be to play the dating game with Malinoff?
Oh.
So
this is great.
We could get, like, some women his age.
Uh-huh.
Thank you.
And we can play the dating game. But here's the twist.
Oh, God.
Me, Joan, and Chris decide who you go out with.
There you go.
So you play the game, and then
we'll pick the winner.
Yeah.
So wait.
Oh my gosh! Or we set up a poll on the YouTube page.
Oh. Yeah.
So it's like girl one, woman two, woman three, and then the listeners will
Dan's
vote.
poll picks the girl.
Yes. Are you gonna? Will you ever stop that,
Chris?
Like it was funny one day. And now he's you need to.
I'm going to hit the dump button next time.
That was pretty good, though.
You need to stop thinking about my poll.
Come on now.
So anyway, so what do you think? So Joan, Chris, and myself, do you think we should decide, or the listeners should decide on a Daily Dan poll?
I think the listeners decide.
Yeah.
I think that makes it much more fun. Let's crowdsource the romance.
Yeah.
So
we're
arranging dates for me.
Yes.
I
clearly, Jeff, we have to.
Right. The listeners are going to have an idea of, either themselves or a niece or a nephew or a friend who thinks the same as you politically, spiritually, and they can nominate people.
So are we going to pay? Are we going to pay? Do I have to pay for the date, or is are you guys going to help me?
What,
with
are you going to make the girl pay for it?
No, hold up. I never do that.
Everybody stop.
Let's not cross that line.
Jeff, I'm going to pay for the date.
Oh, yeah.
I'm going to pay for the date.
All right, Jeff Ruby's.
And it's going to be, what did you say?
Jeff Ruby's Steakhouse. It's like a super pricey one downtown.
Oh, I know. I've been to Jeff Ruby's.
Yeah.
I'll pay for the water.
Anyway, all right, we'll do this. Now, here's the thing. I'm going to say something really nice about Jeff. I would allow my daughter to date Jeff. I would want my daughter to date a guy like Jeff.
Yeah.
He is a great guy.
Agreed.
He's a good dude.
Yeah.
He is a good dude. Stay away from my daughter. But
isn't she married?
No, moving right along.
Oh. Sorry, I doubted you. I didn't know. I'm sorry.
You know what? I wouldn't let you near my daughter. Anyway, moving right along. So I think we have to figure this out, and I think we probably have to get the lawyers involved. So
oh god,
we'll figure out a time to do it. Maybe we'll do it tomorrow. We'll figure it out. But I think that'll be fun.
We should mic them up and film it too.
How do we?
She's got to consent to that. We're not doing that without her knowing.
No.
Well, if they're signing up for the dating game, I think they'd be in for the filming as well.
Okay.
So how do
I want her to feel comfortable? So if she's not comfortable with that, that's totally fine.
How do we choose?
Well, I think we're
three.
We're gonna need to set up an application process.
Yes.
Oh yeah.
So how do we do that?
I think we need to make a page on the website.
On
with,
the
like,
internet.
names
On
and
like
interests,
WTN.com.
a photo upload.
That's going to take forever because they can't. I don't want to.
All right, then just email Dan.
You want to email me? So here's how we do it. And I'm not being creepy, just so we're all clear. Email me, Dan at 997WTN.com. I want to know who you are. Do we send a picture or not? Do you ask him to send a picture?
100%, yes.
Or
pictures
at
are
least
necessary.
or at least social media handles.
All right, send us your picture, your social media, all that stuff, and we'll set it up, and then we'll play the data game with Jeff.
Are we allowing like people who like say, "Hey, this person's good for them," instead of just
it's got to be
them themselves?
We should bring back the old Super Talk curtain for that day, so that way Jeff can't see them. When he's asking
we're bringing
questions.
them in the studio.
Are we gonna bring him into the studio?
Are we just gonna do it on the
we
phone?
would have to, right? If we're gonna go for it, let's go for it, fellas.
Okay. Well, we'll have to figure out
good.
microphones and stuff.
Mm-hmm.
Okay. Well,
we can just
we'll see if we could do that.
we
That'll
can
be
have him
interesting.
come in there and sit like where you are, Dan.
Where am I going to sit?
How many microphones are in there?
There's two.
Dan, how committed are you to this? Are you willing to go through these steps?
Apparently not nearly committed enough. I'm not willing to give up my microphone.
Yeah.
That's okay.
No, I'm honestly like, this sounds fun, so I'm on board.
So I did this when I was about 23. I worked on a morning show, and somebody broke up with me. Wah. And so they did this with me, and I took this woman to the Rod Stewart concert. I was 23. She was about 40.
Wow.
Now,
That's not too bad.
just to let you know, 23-year-old.
And they called Mac Maury Cougar Chow.
Jesus.
You know what?
I don't mind cougars. I do not mind cougars.
I tried my darndest to, get to know her better to the point where when Rod Stewart was singing, I think it was Have I Told You Lately That I Love You, I tried dancing with her, like right there at the Forum.
Aw.
Swung on and missed.
Oh.
So before we go to break, we got to do age limit. Let's go 21 to 45. How's that?
45. Wow.
I'll go.
Well, he's 27, right?
29, but thank you.
Okay.
21 to 49 or 45.
The one and only Matt Murphy has weighed in via text.
Oh God, no.
What does he say?
No.
He said, quote, "How are we going to decide between the three? As if there will be three." Bwah, ha, 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 ha.
All right, so here's what we're going to do.
It's going to be really anticlimactic if we have one contestant on the dating game.
Thanks, guys.
You know, maybe we need to have, like, if we don't get anybody, let's be honest, if we don't get anybody, I think we can probably get some younger ladies, like, down in promotions or something.
Yeah.
Or maybe some sales associates.
We can fake it.
We can fake it. That's absolutely. Oh, the mic's still on.
We won't tell Jeff.
We won't tell Jeff.
We'll get real contestants, but we'll make them think the whole thing is staged.
We won't tell him who the control group is and who the real women are.
So somebody here has a great idea. 2953. Do it live at the next viewing party. So like, have an event.
So live at the
March
State
4th
of the
thing?
Union.
Yeah.
That's not the worst. That's actually. I mean, I don't know if they'll let us do that.
I
but-
don't think they'll let us do it.
Really?
We'll have to wait. I don't know. We'll have to.
Okay.
We probably should have thought of this, like maybe planned this a little bit more before going
you
live.
need to put a Facebook call out on your Dan Mandis Facebook page.
Oh, all right. Hey Jeff, send me a nice cutesy little picture of you, and I'll make a post on the Dan Mandis Show Facebook page.
I'm so bad at pictures.
If you have someone if you are interested
or have someone in mind,
21 to 45, send all the stats and a picture. And by the way, safe for work pictures, please. And no, I'm just saying. I had to.
Amy's gonna be like, "Why do you have all these girls sending you these pictures?"
Well, I don't want people to think that I'm like a creeper scammer just trying to get photos of women. So I want to put that out. So I think that'll be fun. So there you go.
And if they want me to shave for the date, I will. I'm gonna give them the option of beard or no beard.
I'm not paying for your razor. I got to go.
I have
8:55, Nashville's Morning News. Dan Mandis here for my friends at Window Nation. Now, this is my window company. They've put 4 windows in my home in the last couple of years, and I suspect that they'll be back because they do great work. So if 2025 is the year that you upgrade your home, start with a call to Window Nation. They're offering you a full 60% off all window styles, and you pay nothing for 2 full years. No payments or interest for 24 months. Now, that's a great deal for some great windows from Window Nation. They've got some of the best insulated windows money can buy. So it's not only are you saving 60% on the windows, but the savings last for years to come on energy bills. So don't forget that great deal, 60% off all window styles, and you pay no interest and no payments for 2 full years. Tell them Dan told you to reach out, 866-90-NATION, 866-90-NATION, windownation.com.